weather's taken a turn for the worst for race 2 of the Radical Challenge at Oulton Park, and it's very, very wet indeed. It will be Bradley Smith that will line up on pole position, and as long as he can get the car off the line, well, he will be heading in towards Old Hall Corner with a clear visor. Everybody else behind will be looking through a ball of spray. So it's Bradley Smith and Steve Burgess on the front row of the grid. Brian Caldwell, who we ride on board with now, on row 2, alongside this man here, Jack Lang, who sits on the outside of row 2. And as the lights go out, it looks as though the front 2 cars get away well. It's been a good start by Jack Lang, who's trying to go alongside the number 2 car of Steve Burgess, but it'll be Bradley Smith that leads. Steve Burgess in second place. We ride on board with Jack Lang, who's heading towards the grass. He's had a spin by the look of things, heading through the grass. Joe Stables has also had a rotation as well. His car's pointing in the right direction. He will recover, but Jack Lang is going to tumble all the way down towards the tail end of the field. All just got a little bit tight there, didn't it? And I wasn't sure whether there might have been just the slightest bit of contact on the tail end of Jack Lang's car. So he is going to have to fight his way back through the field. Bradley Smith out front and leading the race. He has converted pole position to the race lead, and he's the only driver out there now that's not looking through this enormous ball of spray that's being thrown up in these pretty atrocious conditions here at Oulton Park. Bradley Smith leads. Steve Burgess in second position. It is going to be Brian Caldwell in third place, Tony Wells in fourth, Jack Manchester's there in fifth place, and so it's Mark Richards through the gloom that comes through in sixth position. You can see just how poor the visibility is for the drivers that are having to look through this gloom. As there goes, by the look of things, I think that was Elliot Goodman trying to fend off a position, but unfortunately lost the place ultimately. Tony Wells heading in towards the braking area for what is the Hislop chicane. Here splashing his way through his ease comes number 52, Mark Richards, who is currently in what is sixth position and is looking to try and get himself up onto turns with Jack Manchester. We ride on board again. Let's just have a quick look. And yeah, there was just the lightest of touches with the front corner of what was Brian Caldwell's car. Joe Stables, I think, had a spin all on his own. But yeah, Brian Caldwell, I think, just tagged the rear end of Jack Lang there, as we saw. And well, onboard replays from them all just go to show how little visibility they all got and how tricky it was as they all charged up towards the first corner. So Bradley Smith out front and leaving. Steve Burgess settling back into second place now. He'll be mindful of the fact that the car that leads is not eligible for championship points this weekend. So if he can hang on to second place, it's maximum points as far as he's concerned. And clambering out of his car, retirement there by the look of things. That's Sean Mellors that has had an issue, and it looks as though his car has perhaps had a spin and then got bogged down on the grass. Great battle going on. It might not be for the front positions, but number 72, which is the car in the hands of Cliff Butler, really trying to keep at bay Matt Brooks, and also with them is the number 80 car in the hands of Peter Tyler. So a trio there, busy, squabbling away out of what is the Britain's chicane, and then they disappear into the gloom and through the spray, out of sight over Hilltop. Reappearing back into view, Peter Tyler thinks about having a look up the inside of number 44, but can't quite squeeze through and past Matt Brooks. They go past the errant car of what was Sean Mellors, so he's retired with a spin down at the Hislop chicane by the look of things. So that trio continue round, and as they then charge their way back up towards Clay Hill, the safety car boards are coming out. Right, okay, so we've seen this in the first race of the weekend. We've got a safety car in race 2, the ever-efficient Oulton Park Marshals on hand to get Sean Mellors back behind the wheel of the car, and then they'll give him a push off from the pretty dangerous position in which it came to rest. So in these tricky conditions, right decision made by the officials, but that's quickly dealt with. So the safety car is coming in. You can see the standing water at the side of the circuit as Bradley Smith is weaving from side to side to try and build any temperature he can into his Dunlop wet tyres. And away we go, back to racing again. Good restart by Bradley Smith, but that has been matched by Steve Burgess as they charge their way up towards the start-finish line. No overtaking until you've passed the start-finish line, so it's Bradley Smith once more that is out front and has actually had quite a good restart in reality. It wasn't that slow away from Steve Burgess, but he's fallen away an extra couple of car lengths than ideally he would wish, as we ride on board with car number 7, Jack Lang. Down through the gears, past Barry Liversidge he goes. You can see him feeding the throttle in on the exit of the corner. Traffic to deal with as he accelerates his way along the avenue. Great driver's eye view of just how little you can see in these very, very murky conditions. And with the spray of the cars that you're trying to work your way through and past as well, makes it ever more difficult. That's the green car, number 3 in the hands of Tony Wells. He sits there in 4th position at this stage. And he's not that far behind, is he? The pair ahead of him. We ride on board with car number 95, Joe Stables. And that looks as though that's Brian Murphy's car that sits ahead of him, the man from the northeast. Is Joe Stables going to dive up the inside? Yeah, onto the brakes, up the inside, heading into the Hislop chicane. So through goes number 95, Joe Stables. Down a place goes number 57, Brian Murphy. And all of the time, whilst Jack Lang, recovering from that first corner spin, is working his way through the order. So he's now putting Brian Murphy under pressure. They come up towards Clave Hill, very, very fast part of the circuit, in towards the daunting double apex right-hander at Druids, and well, very, very brave move by Jack Lang up the inside. That is a very quick part of the circuit, but he's got the job done, Jack Lang, and he gains the place. Number 99 just going through. That is the car in the hands of Konstantin Gukiev. He is busy squabbling away with Lee Bailey by the look of things. They are fighting for positions just outside of the top 20 currently, but still busy fighting away. Great battle also going on for 16th position. That is Jason Redding this time that's driving the number 5 car. He has got a queue of cars sitting behind him, all of which are hugely keen to try and work their way through. And some of the reason that we see the cars pulling out from behind is not because they have got the inside line and are trying to overtake. Some of it is just to try and get better visibility going into the next corner, and one of those cars is John Caldwell, who sits directly behind Jason Redding, but he's under pressure himself. So here they come, trying to work their way through and past David Frankland. So Jason Redding squeezes his way through. The rest of the field squeeze their way through, which includes Cliff Butler, who's now gone through and taken a place away. Then John Caldwell as well. As that little fight heads up towards us now, it looks as though there has been the shuffle in the order. Cliff Butler able to go through it ahead of Jason Redding. So that was coming out of Cascades and on towards Lakeside, possibly assisted just by where he met the back marker relative to others. The race still continuing, and as we say, we now see Cliff Butler having gained a position. He's running in the mid-teens currently, just ahead of this queue of cars, which also includes the car of Elliot Goodman. In fact, he's sandwiched between the two Black and Dayglow cars, the first one of which is John Caldwell. The next one that sits behind him is that number 80 of Peter Tyler by the look of things. So a great big quintet of cars turning its way through Hislops. Flick left at the exit of Hislops, flick right again at what is Knickerbrook, and then from there they work their way uphill towards Clay Hill. Well, on to the last lap of the race now goes what is Bradley Ellis, looking for a double victory if he can here at Oulton Park. He has had a clear visor for the vast majority of the race in these very, very difficult conditions and has coped with them admirably. We can see just how little we can see through the camera lens. Imagine what it's like for the drivers that are out there having to look through this gloom as John Caldwell dives up the inside and gains a place on Jason Redding. Elliot Goodman, number 28, is trying to follow him through as well. Peter Tyler looking to try and get in on the mix as well. So a great little fox squabble going on. And they've now got, just one more lap to try and sort it out. But it does look as though John Caldwell has got himself almost towards the front of that little squabble now. Elliot Goodman's going to have to stick his elbows out at the wheel of car number 28 to try and hang on to the position if he needs to. A spin towards the tail end of the race. That's car number 11, Lee Bailey, that's had a spin, and by the look of things has either had a very light contact with the barrier or has got very close to having contact with the barrier, but thankfully the car looks largely undamaged and he's going to be able to continue for the remainder of the race. But that was a scary moment, I'm sure, for Lee in the braking area for Lodge Corner, which is the final bend, and it won't be that much longer before our race leader heads towards that point of the circus. He's just heading through Hislops now. This man in second place, Steve Burgess, is on for maximum points in the championship, because as we say, the race leader is not scoring points, not registered for the championship. So it's been a good drive by Steve Burgess, mathematically thinking that, well, second's good enough. He'd like the win, but second still gives him the maximum points haul if he can hang on to it. And there's just a couple of corners to go now between him and more maximum points, and just one corner to go now between this man here, Bradley Smith, and what will be a second victory at Oulton Park. So Bradley Smith heads onto the brakes, turns his way through the right-hander at Lodge Corner, up towards Deer Leap, and accelerates his way towards the checkered flag and claims a second win here at Oulton Park. Steve Burgess comes through in second place, chased by Brian Caldwell in third. Tony Wells in 4th position. And further down through the order, Jack Lang still carving his way through the field, very late on the brakes, dives up the inside of, I think that was Joe Stables, heading up towards Lodge Corner, and that is going to give car number 7 8th position, Jack Lang. What a recovery drive, having spun at the first corner all the way towards the tail end of the field, and still some of the battles are going on further down through the order. There goes number 44 through, Matt Brooks. He will finish just inside the top 20 in 19th position. Well, it was a very, very difficult second race here at Oulton Park. Let's hear from Steve Burgess, the championship leader.
Yeah, it was a good race. It was very wet. The visibility was next to nothing. I tried to get Bradley for the first couple of corners, but I think he had the legs on me. So he's not in the championship or scoring any points today. So I just played for a nice second, and Gonzalez my championship lit points. Yeah, I had a good lead on 3rd place, and then unfortunately the safety car came out, which bunches it all back up again with about 5 minutes to go. But I got the jump. Got away from Brian again to hold it for 2nd overall and a first for the championship points.
Three of you on top 7 podium from the start.